Do you think the red pill's dying? That's something that both of us have spent a little bit of time orbiting in one form or another, either you debating it or me getting abused by it. What do you think's happening with the red pill at the moment?
Yeah, I think most stuff has probably a 2 to 4 year shelf life for internet content. And I think it kind of came and it kind of went. Andrew Tate and the pre-trial or pre-indictment imprisonment probably hurt a bit because it took away a lot of the publicity. I think that the nature of the conversations for the red pill stuff, I think was really bad. I think the content strategy from a lot of the red pillars, I think was very subpar.
How so?
For me, the way that I've stayed fresh and relevant for 15 years of content creation is because I'm always finding new stuff to talk about or a new angle to kind of hit something from, or I'm kind of moving on with contemporary events. I feel like for red pill stuff, I feel like I could have written the script for those shows after being on 2 of them, to where it's okay, guys, today we're going to talk about, does body count matter? Do guys value you for the amount of money that you make? Do women fuck over men in divorce? Are men lonely because they're simps? It was the same topics for over a year, such that it became a meme where when I would show up on a show, some of my friends would do bingo cards of okay, well, when is the body count question coming up?
Hypergamy.
Or are women hypergamous or not? And then it's and it's funny because the questioning would always, there's a fallacy called all roads lead to Rome, I think. If there's not, there should be one. Where basically, literally, no matter how somebody answers a question, it always goes back to what you want it to. So I might say to a girl, have you ever dated a guy? You say you don't care if guys at all. Have you ever dated a guy that's 5'5"? And the girl might be like, no, I haven't. Because you hate short guys, You won't. And she's like, oh, no. Okay, have you ever dated a guy that's 5'5"? Yes, I have. Oh, when? When I was in high school, I actually dated a guy that's 5'5". Really? Are you together anymore with him? Well, no. Oh, you dumped him because he was a short king, right? Yeah. Or it's are you dating a guy that's 5'5"? He's like, yeah, I am now. It's oh, really? Is he rich? No, he's not that rich. Does he have a huge dick? Yeah, his dick is pretty big. Oh, hypergamous. You just want the pool boy. You're probably gonna, find a rich guy and still fuck. There's always Andrew Tate actually is the perfect example of the all roads lead to Rome. Okay, when Andrew Tate had the pre-trial imprisonment, there were never going to be charges because it was all a scam. It was just a sham kangaroo court. Now that there are charges, if there wouldn't have been charges and he would have been released with no charges, no indictment, it was because obviously it was a scam, right? But now that there are charges, well, obviously because it's a scam, of course they're going to make up charges. So now they're going to go to court, and if they go to court and they get, if they go to court and they beat the charges, it's because it was bullshit the whole time. But if they go to court and they're convicted, well, it's because it's bullshit the whole time. They're going to make it up always. So literally, no matter what happens, it's always because of your particular prediction of the world. So you end up with these prediction models that will predict every single event, which means they don't actually predict anything, but it allows you to escape the cognitive dissonance of your predictive model not being correct. So you don't have to worry if you've got a good view, a good blueprint of the world, because literally, no matter what happens, you've always got a way to make sense of it in the future.
Well, this is why that 4-step process of when was the last time someone publicly admitted that they were wrong? When was the last time they surprised you? If someone came out and had a discussion about this and was like, do you know what it is? I actually think that a lot of the time I do actually see girls in relationships with guys that hypergamously I wouldn't predict that they were in a relationship with. That guy just seems to have game. It's not really about the fact that he's tall or fit or rich or has status or any of these things. He just seems to be a really nice guy, and she wants to have a family, and he ends up being, I wasn't expecting that. That was something that would have surprised me. And you think, okay, well, that shows an evolution of talking points, but I don't know how many times. And this is why, I'm still fascinated in evolutionary psychology and intersexual and intrasexual dynamics and all of that stuff. It's still very interesting to me. But the whole lambasting women for having standards that are too high, that never was something that really crossed my world of content creation. But even now it's okay, so what else is happening? How can here's an interesting angle. Here's a much more interesting angle for me for something that's contemporary and new. This skew of young girls to the left and this skew of young guys to the right. Given the fact that most people date within their political affiliation, and because politics are becoming more important to each individual person now, that's interesting. That's a new, okay, so what do we do? Where's this coming from, and what does this mean? 30% of Democrat parents are afraid that their son or daughter would marry a Republican. That's interesting. So what about parental pressure, and how does that play into it? That's interesting. You can keep talking about the same thing, but do it with a different angle on it, continuing to just hammer away on the same points. I don't know, it's just fair play if you have that degree of patience, maybe, to be able to just have the same conversation 1,000 times, but I don't have that in my toolbox.
The description is boring, the descriptive part, because it's the same thing over and over again. And then the prescriptive part is boring because for a lot of these movements, people don't actually give you good advice to kind of navigate it sometimes unless you can become a top 1%er. Instead, what they try to prescribe is like a world that doesn't exist anymore. Like, this is no good because women have birth control, because women are, earning money and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, that's not changing. So you have to give advice for the world that exists now, not tell guys you have to become a top 1%er. You need to earn so much fucking money that the traditional girls or whatever will go back to liking you. It's never advice geared towards, well, how do you navigate the modern world where women don't need men as much, where women are looking for different things in relationships? How do you navigate that? It's just like, we need to go back to the days of old and everything is messed up now because of feminism and complaining and blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Ground News. I am sick of the media binary of only ever getting to see one side that's very curated of a particular news story. I don't want to see a narrative. I want to find out what happens. And tools like Ground News make it way easier by giving me a panoramic view of how issues are actually being reported across the political spectrum. If you didn't already catch it, Destiny and I talked about Google's recent controversy surrounding their AI tool Gemini. Hundreds of articles covered the same story, but from completely different perspectives. You can cut through the noise by going to ground.news/modern wisdom. There, you will be able to read a full breakdown of what actually occurred, including data about how reliable these hundreds of different sources are and who owns them. They present all sides of every story in a way that's easy to understand. Best of all, you can get a 30% discount off their unlimited access Vantage plan right now by going to the link in the description below or heading to ground.news/modern wisdom. That's 30% off for unlimited access at ground.news/modern wisdom. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip with Destiny, you will love the full-length 2-hour-long podcast, which is available right here. Go on,